So let's see here. What I wanted to do is find out who's here because, again, one of the big things we want to do is build community. One of the benefits of New Mexico, amongst all of our bad statistics that we all are unhappy about, is the fact that we should be able to reach each other, and you shouldn't be 6 degrees of separation. You should be 1, maybe 2. And that's one of the things we want to really use, particularly in our urban areas, Albuquerque, Santa Fe. I heard some Las Cruces. Thank you to our Tauseños who are here. We're even more so in our smaller communities. We need to be helping each other just in like the veritable barn raising and in the frontier spirit that a lot of our forebearers came here. And speaking of forebearers, I did want to do a quick land acknowledgement. A lot of universities are doing this, and I think it's very important, particularly since we just passed Thanksgiving, for us to acknowledge the lands that we're on and those who came before us. Those of us who, like me, are of European descent, we really need to think about those who came up through Mexico, and then certainly before that, those who are here on the lands first. So let's take a moment to think about that and the original entrepreneurs who made our state and this region the great place that it is, and the reason why many of us are here. I want to share about New Mexico Angels. You're welcome to multitask and look at our website. We've got a lot of news. We've got a lot of upcoming events and things that you can check out there. Our portfolio companies, those who wanted to learn if you're on the entrepreneur side. And then I'll go into our new Angel Club in a second for those who want to learn about angeldom. And then I want to look at how we collectively do specific investment in 2022. Again, this is your time. Feel free to type into chat. I'm going to ask Cecilia to be our chat monitor. I think a good presentation is one that we don't even get to the end of. So I'm happy for this to be dialogue. Please don't have this be Drew's up here. He's the expert. Each of you is an expert in your area, from our ethical accountant, who's going to be a CPA, to the folks who are just looking at how to help nonprofits to help our people. So thank you. The bottom line is, what do we do to make 1 + 1 = 3 for New Mexico? And the united, we stand, divided we fall. It might be cheesy, but how do we have the veritable village to raise the child? How do we have stone soup, which is the story of everyone taking just a little bit, even in a land of not having very much, and pretty soon you get a very yummy mix. So our mission, find this on our website. We are a 501c6 membership organization, like a chamber of commerce, but we are united in our efforts that the market and investment is a sound way to grow opportunity and entrepreneurship, because private capital markets are larger than government and then philanthropy. While each of those is valuable and important, we're focused on the for-profit side at this point. So we're not talking about grants. We're not talking about giving money. We're talking about investing money to earn a return. A little about me. I am the president of Mexico Angels. It's still relatively new. It's a 20-year-old organization. I've been at it this year. Claim to fame, if you want to say that, is that I was the first CFO for Meow Wolf. And we went from 50 employees to 450. We bought a building. We raised $125 million. We had 500,000 people visit us our first year. We went from 0 revenues to 9 million, 7.5 million, and then now up to 15. And now with Vegas and Denver opening, many, many more. Previous to that, I was in economic development and international development. I worked in international microfinance, traveled around to 40 countries around the world. And when I was living in New Mexico, I finally got to the feeling that I don't have to get on a plane and go to Mozambique to do the things that I just need to be doing in my own backyard. Began my career as a VISTA, that's the Domestic Peace Corps, and then AmeriCorps. Pandering to Jim here and a couple of other folks, we have a new Angel Club starting in January. This is going to be an educational community. Think of it as a book club for angel investing. And this is a chance for accredited investors. Those are people who can legally invest in private companies to be able to learn and work together and commit to actually making investments in 2022. New Mexico Angels has 100 members, but we've only had 29 people write checks this calendar year. So we would like to get to 100 check writers in the next year. And to do that, we want to educate people and help people get up the learning curve. If you have interest in this, feel free to get in touch with my colleague, Max, or get in touch with me or others to learn more. Cecilia, pause there. Any questions coming in that I need to answer?
Not yet.
Great, thanks. People, again, be very encouraged to both share your own information that you'd like others to see. and feel free to ask a question. Information about the Angels, 20 years. We've invested $24 million. So that's created the local economy and jobs. We have a partnership with Rockies Venture Club. That's our partner to the north in Colorado. This is a national top 5 angel club with 200 members. And so that relationship allows us to get education and training and more events, both virtually and in person. It also allows our New Mexico deals to get shopped or syndicated to other places. And so we're able to get a wider runway. And then 221, what became different about the Angels as I took over the presidency is we started a lot more programming. COVID had been a hard time and the organization had been a little dormant. And so now we really want to be a community engagement for any of you doing state economic development or other community-based work.
Drew, we do have a few questions. Is there still the 25K tax credit for angel investments in tech in New Mexico?
Yeah, so it's not a specific dollar amount. There are 2 tax credits. There is an angel investment tax credit. It moved from New Mexico EDD to New Mexico Tax and Rev. And so any startup company that is doing a registered security offering and is a New Mexico-based company can apply to the New Mexico Tax and Rev for that tax credit. And there's no limit on it. There's an annual limit of how big the pool is, but we haven't used up the pool in the last few years. So it's been available. So that's a very strong benefit because it provides 25% off. So if I write an investment for $100,000, 25% of that would immediately be a tax credit for me for any tax liability I have in New Mexico. If you go to our website, you'll find a page on it. Otherwise, New Mexico Tax and Rev. If someone wants to be a really good sleuther and go to our website and find that link and paste it in the link for everybody else, that would be a community service. So that's where, Athena, that's where I'd go there. And I would specifically talk to them. They're very approachable, even though they're kind of your stereotypical government bureaucracy. They respond to emails, they respond to phone calls, and I find them very human and humane. So thanks for that question.
And then there's one more question. Can you briefly describe the various stages of angel investing?
Great question. I'm going to hold off on that one. I'll get to that one in the next couple slides. Okay, cool. So what is this New Mexico Angel stuff? What do we do? We explore investment opportunities. These are deals. Startup companies come to us. They solicit or they share their information. We have a screening committee, which is made up of members and other financial professionals who looks at it. They may then go back and ask the entrepreneur questions to get some clarification. And then if we feel that it's interesting enough or has strong enough potential, we would share it with our community. We also get involved in our portfolio companies, which you can find on our website. So we've made a check, we've written a check, or somebody in our community has made an investment. And we bring our time, treasure, and talent, the 3 T's, mentoring, networking, Rolodexing, to help these companies grow. Another service we provide is due diligence, where we do a systemic or systematic investigation with a report of a company. So this usually comes after the investment opportunity if people want to take a deep dive or really look at the check writing opportunity. And then if we get to the point where we want to be writing checks to invest in these companies, we work together to create something called a special purpose vehicle, which is an LLC or a for-profit entity that is a single purpose of people investing, writing checks into that company to then have one check go into a startup company. And the goal of what we're trying to do here is not just get a couple of rich people to write checks, but to help a company move into its investability and to leverage relationships to achieve up to $1 million, both with private, public, and other capitals. So for example, Alex is here with New Mexico EDD. Alex, I'm going to impose upon you to put a link in to some of your guys' programs, as well as particularly the CAP program, which I think is a very, very strong program. And this is a place where private investment can readily leverage state dollars. And then I'll ask our MEP folks, our partnership folks to have a website there so people can see what they do in relocating companies and bringing existing companies into our ecosystem. And then certainly our Tausenio SBDC folks should share their website for the network of SBDCs throughout the state. We don't do this by ourselves. We have a number of sponsors and partners. A shout out to the Feynman Center up in Los Alamos, National Lab, LANL, Sunny 505, which is a PR firm, City of Albuquerque, 110, which is a fund here, and the US EDA. We also have a number of for-profit and public partners that work with us on events, programming, and getting the word out. So we appreciate all of them. And then we have a number of lawyers and others who work with us to be able to work collaboratively. So what is this stuff? Let me give you some language first before I delve into this, with the reason being that I don't want to be using jargon, but I also want to give people a little bit of a sense of what this world is. Some of you don't do it every day, so there is an information disequilibrium between those who do this and those who don't. I got an MBA. I've professionally been doing this for a number of years, so I should hopefully be pretty good at it. And if you haven't done it a lot, I can't expect you to be good at it. You can get good at it, but there's no reason why immediately you should be. So involve others who can help you because it is helpful to have people who know the scene. I don't know if anyone dances here, salsa, merengue, or if you do ballroom dancing or swing dancing or something. But, imagine going to a dance or an Argentinian milonga, right? Why should you be good if you haven't done it a lot? Even if you read a bunch of YouTube videos or you practice at home, you get out there in the public with others, it's a different ballgame, right? So go with someone who is good. So terminology. Often we talk about stages, and this gets to one of the questions that was asked. And the general vernacular is a company is pre-seed, meaning it's very early. It's at a seed stage, or it's at a series A or B, C, D. And we're talking about FFF, which is friends, family, and fools. Nobody wants to be the greater fool. Everybody's more comfortable following the crowd or being yet one of many fools. What I mean by that is, if I am the 11th investor and it's 10 people I know, it's much easier for me to write a check than if I'm the first one. So getting your friends and family involved, getting your coworkers, getting the co-founders to do both sweat and actual money, to have your story be stronger and to have your foundation be sturdier. All those are important things. Another common terminology need is the form of the investment. What's the actual security, the legal registration? If you're too early, you might not know this yet, but the more specific you can be with investors, the easier it is for them to understand what you're doing and to react or respond to you. So I would encourage you to make a choice because if an investor really likes you and wants to do another choice, they can tell you that. And so the general usual top investment forms is equity, debt, or what's called a convertible note. There's also something called a safe note. And a convertible note legally is debt, but the intention is to have it be equity or to convert. Valuation is a big thing that's often asked about. And you've got a pre-money or post-money. That's just fancy terms with how much do you think the company's worth. If it's equity, you're going to be doing a priced round. You're going to be selling shares at a certain cost per share. If you're an LLC or partnership, you're going to be selling a percentage of the company. And then I mentioned the SPV earlier. Pause here. Cecilia, any questions?
Not right now.
Beautiful. So what is an angel investor? We're talking about an accredited investor, which is an SEC or federal guidelines. In the 1920s, the go-go days of finance, basically anything was possible in America, and that led to some of the crashes of the 30s. And so the SEC, which is a federally regulatory body, created a set of rules, and they're a little archaic by this day. They've updated a little bit, but you have to be an accredited investor, and you can look up that term. Basically, you have to be wealthy enough to be able to afford to lose this money. Nobody wants to lose their investment, but you have to be realistic and be able to lose it. So if this is the money you're trying to live on, they don't really want you to put that at risk. If I'm an angel investor, I'm looking for venture capital style returns. So if I'm writing a check into your company, you need to be able to show me how I'm going to get money out. Is there going to be an exit? Are you going to get bought by somebody when you grow? Are you going to have a licensing arrangement? Are you going to have a dividend? Are you going to do a stock repurchase? How am I going to get my money back? And if you don't have a clear story about that, it's really hard for me to understand why I should be writing a check. And then angel activity can be done as onesies and twosies, or it can be done as a group effort. There's nothing that restricts your company from going out to the proverbial rich uncle or neighbor or friend and getting them to invest in you as a partner. That's perfectly allowable. And then in general with angel methodology, there's usually two paths. One is invest in stuff you know, because you can be smarter than the average bear and be able to assess the company and the entrepreneurs, or let 1,000 flowers bloom and put small investments in a wide range of investments. So if you have $100,000 or $50,000 or $20,000, the conventional wisdom is that you spread that out and you divvy that up into smaller amounts to diversify your portfolio. So that's the general theory. What's a typical angel deal look like? I think this gets into one of the questions that was asked. Usually we're talking about pre-seed or seed. So this is early. Maybe you haven't even sold anything yet, but you should be, the more organized you are and the further you are, the more confidence you can give an investor. The valuation of the company, if you're doing an equity price round, should be low, certainly single digits, typically before 5 million. Typically, you're not raising tons and tons of money. You're raising the amount of money that angels at $25,000 to $100,000 increments could satisfy. And that $1 million is going to sell a percentage of the company, let's say up to 20%. So if I have a pre-money valuation of 4 million and I'm raising 1 million, my post-money valuation would be 5 million, which is 20% of the company. I know that's really fast. There won't be a test afterwards. I'm just trying to give you a sense of some of the language around this. I don't think you should expect an angel just to write a check and then shut up and go away. Most angels are passionate, just as you are, and they have something else to offer. Advice, expertise, their own experience, a Rolodex, connections, customers, friends who also could write checks. So you should treat these relationships with respect and value, just as you would any other close business tie. You should update them on a regular basis. You should keep them involved. You should ask them how they want to be involved and support their wishes. And you should ask them this before you write the check, because if you all aren't on the same page, you know, they want to call every week and you want them to just go away and you do your own business, you're going to have a disconnect and that's going to create some friction. So make sure you've asked these questions. It's dating. Some of us maybe haven't done that for a while, but it's business dating and we should know what we're getting into and make sure we have alignment. And you should maybe even sign that as an agreement. And then again, this idea of how we're getting our money back, there has to be an exit or some sort of capital transaction. So for example, in restaurants now, there's a royalty payment or dividends. So instead of an exit, meaning I write a check and then you sell your company and I get a check back, some companies, what they're doing is I write a check and then over time, as revenues increase, you're giving me money back over time to an agreed upon amount. So there's different ways to realize that return. But again, if you don't have an exit strategy, why should I write a check into this? How am I going to get any money back? What are angels looking for? A lot of things. There's some details on our website if you're going to submit to us. But a couple of things for you to highlight. Solid management team. In New Mexico, I found a lot of solopreneurs. These are individuals who have a strong passion. While that's incredibly admirable, a company can't be run by one person. And so you show me how you are having the building blocks of your company by starting to have a team. If you can't afford to pay them, they're advisors perhaps, or they are going to be hired once you get the money, or they're sweating just as you are. But you have a team. If someone just comes to me and says, it's just me, once I raise a bunch of money, I'm going to hire people, that's an inclination towards a no already. Barriers to entry or the moat. Those of you who have done some business stuff, Porter's 5 Forces is an oldie but a goodie. Michael Porter was a Harvard business professor, and he created 5 areas of business evaluation on a 5-point scale each. It's a little oversimplified, but it's a really quick way to get a pulse check on what your opportunities are. So Porter's 5 forces. Things like patents, trade secrets, unfair competition, and unfair advantage, all those things help me understand why your business is special, why you're special, and why what you're doing is going to be different from somebody else. And then also, what's the pain? How big is the pain, or how much is the pain? Do a lot of people have a little bit of pain? Do very few people have a really big pain? And how are you solving that pain? Are you solving it just a little? Are you solving it a lot? And how does it work? So those are some of the things that angels look for. And then I'm going to take a little pause here to give a look at the chat.
There is one question. The agreed upon return around restaurants is called what? I'm not really sure.
Yeah, so there's a couple names for it, and I was going really fast. Some people have done royalty payments. Our buddy Hall Martin at 10 Capital has a 3X and 3. And what he's doing there is that the company is agreeing to repay the investor 3X. So if I invest $1, I'm going to get $3 back, which might sound like a lot if you're doing debt. But if you're equity, that's not so much, because equity, the expectation is that you're trying to get a 5X or a 10X return. So a royalty payment or a dividend, there's a couple different names for it, but it's I think it's an interesting model. So some do's and don'ts: communicate, have diplomacy, listen to your investors. Sometimes I find that entrepreneurs are so busy selling and so busy talking and trying to impress that they're not listening. I would say in a meeting, if you're an entrepreneur, I would challenge you to see how little you can talk in the meeting. And it should be no more than 50%, because you need to be finding out what the colleague, your counterparty, the person you're having coffee with, lunch with, on a walk with, what their interests are, who they are, what they like, what's important to them. And if you don't know that at the end of the meeting, then you're not asking them enough questions and you're not listening. Myths. There's always the story of the proverbial business that was funded on the back of a cocktail napkin. And while certainly it's true because it exists in the world, I don't say it's a complete fable, but it's rare. Most businesses have had a lot of work done. And you don't have to do a 100-page business plan anymore, but you should have that information. I'm fond of presentations. I am a disciple of Guy Kawasaki, Art of the Start, and he has a pitch presentation. He says 10 slides, 20 minutes, no smaller than 20 size font. So you can check him out, Guy Kawasaki, Art of the Start. He was an early guy at Apple. And I like what he says about how you do a business and how you present it. Angels don't really want to see a check that they wrote go into your pocket with huge executive salaries. They want to be a partner alongside of you. Certainly you deserve to be paid, and you deserve to be able to eat more than peanut butter from doing a business, but that should be from the sweat of your brow and from getting a product into market and from selling stuff, not just from getting a bunch of investors. Let's see, your business plan. I like the Canvas, lean startup model these days. It's brief, but it has all the questions, it has all the parts, and behind a short presentation should be a lot of research that you should be able to answer the questions cold. I do care about return on investment. I might be more patient than a VC, but it doesn't mean I don't want money back. Here's the national data from the Angel Capital Association. So this again goes to the question that was asked. On average, this data is a little old now. It's gone up a bit because the market's pretty hot. But a typical pre-seed angel deal, the valuation is $4 million pre. The angel group does $250K as a group, and the average investor is writing a check for $10,000 and maybe a little bit more. Those are going into legal registered offerings. convertible notes, preferred shares, or SAFE. A SAFE is basically we don't know the value of this company, invest in us, and we promise that we're going to figure it out pretty soon. Stopping for questions.
Drew, there is a question, or more a comment, I guess, is I am still trying to figure out the pain to solve. My vision is to challenge elder abuse regarding finances. I also am passionate about securing storage units for people who are homeless or incarcerated.
Yeah, so I like Porter's 5 forces, and I like pain, the pain point. So problem plus opportunity equals solution. P plus O equals S. In New Mexico, and those of us who are doing community-minded or mission-based work, problem plus opportunity plus mission equals solution. So let me come up with something specific. Meow Wolf. It might be difficult to explain their pain, but what they were solving for is a new form of entertainment that hadn't been available, with the idea that people want experiences, they don't want objects. And they're part of a movement in themed entertainment, which is growing very, very rapidly. And they started with the entry cost, the ticket price, as a same cost as a movie. But because demand has increased, they've increased their prices following the Disney model. And they're now more expensive. They give a price break for people in state, so people who are New Mexicans when they visit Santa Fe. And so they were solving for a form of entertainment. People wanted something new. If you're making a more socially motivated product, whether it's a medical solution or a social solution, what is the pain? What is the alternative that the customer has to do now? And how is your solution better reducing time, effort, or cost so that there's a motivation to choose your solution over somebody else's? So that's about the pain. And again, you don't have to answer that specific question, but I'm sharing with you common vernacular in the angel world, where just like some of you had really good elevator pitches, the more honed you get in being able to speak to these questions and really nailing the answers, the more you can convince both customers as well as investors.
We have a few more questions. One that's related to the topic that you're currently talking about is, do you like pain points that are simple and strong, or could they be diverse pain points for which there could be a single solution, which is preferred?
I think that's a fair question. I don't really want to get into the philosophy of it because I find people will get lost in that. I think to oversimplify, and again, this is an oversimplification, it won't be true for everybody. Either there's a big pain that affects a lot of people and you are some sort of solution to it, or it's a smaller pain to a more focused population and you can be a very focused solution that a lot of people within that community can respond to. So if it's not very many people, you're going to have to get a larger percentage of them. If it's a larger, more generalized pain, you can be a more general solution, but you have to be specific. And so that's how I'd answer that, which isn't exactly how the question was posed, but that's how I feel about looking at the pain question.
And then the last question that we have right now is, what are typical legal costs on both sides associated with an angel investment, and do they come out of proceeds?
Excellent question. It varies. Sadly, a lot of lawyers take a lot of money, and a lot of entrepreneurs do things badly. Do use a lawyer. Do educate yourself and learn how to ask the questions. A lot of this information is now available online. Y Combinator, NOLO, which is a legal paperwork website, and others. So you can find stuff online. So I would use the stuff online to educate myself. I wouldn't just take the stuff online and then think that it's going to be good enough for me. I would still consult with a lawyer. Most lawyers will talk to you without starting the clock until there's an engagement. Most lawyers, if they like you and they trust you, will also wait a few days before requiring being paid. They understand if you're doing security work, you need to raise the money first. Most lawyers will charge hundreds of dollars an hour. So it will be in the thousands.
Those are all the questions we have for now.
Okay, great. So this slide is just to show you that there's different types of money at different stages of the company. IPO is in the top right there. FFF, the Friends, Family, and Fools, is bottom left. And you kind of move in between. Banks are to the right. They don't like risk. The whole joke is a bank will come to you when you don't need their money anymore, meaning you already have some investment. But that's when you really should go to them. Start the clock on a bank. A banker's not a bad person, stereotypically a guy or gal, but they just have limitations of what they can do. Learn what their rules are. You can't push a boulder uphill, or if you do, it's a lot of work. So banks do what they do. It's cheap money, relatively from a cost of capital standpoint. So understand their rules. Government, same thing. Alex is a wonderful guy, but he has rules that were given to him by our government. He can't change the rules because he likes you. He has to follow his obligations as a state employee, as our tax dollars. So learn his rules. And if you do and you qualify, then you're a great fit. There's some great programs right now with NMEDD, with New Mexico Finance Authority, which is NMFA, with your city, with the state, with the county. Let's go use these. And let's get the money that you have access to. A little bit more about New Mexico Angels. Historically, we've done 5 companies a year. This year, we've been very active. We've worked with 11 so far. We think we'll get up to 13, 14 by the end of the year. We've been able to move quite a lot of money thanks to Angels being very active and motivated. COVID really motivated folks to understand why a local economy is important. What is our process? You submit information online. We use an online platform called Gust. It's not perfect, but it's free. You get what you pay for, but it is good. And if you take the time to use it, then other angels can use it. So you could then let yourself be known to other communities as well. And it's basic stuff you should have for anybody. So use it as a guideline for the stuff you need. We will then go through a screening process. The screening committee then provides written feedback to every company that submits to us. We do get a large volume, so it can take a period of months. We're not the most efficient, quick effort. And then numerically, our funnel is very sharp and narrow. So I mentioned we were working with 11 companies. We've probably had 150, 200 applications. So that's an acceptance rate below 10%. And that's typical. Success examples, I mentioned Meow Wolf already. Taos Bakes was another company. Their information is available online. They're gonna be raising money again. They're up in Taos. So thank you to our SBDC folks up there. They actually have a processing facility in Cuesta, which is to the west of Taos, which is a town that experienced a mine closure. And so 15 sustainable wage jobs is a real boost to the local economy there. And Taos Bakes has been a very good community partner as a company looking to grow its product base from just snack bars into, energy bars into broader snack categories. Where to find us? Do homework. Don't be lazy. Information's available online. Go look at New Mexico Angels. Go look at the type of companies we've invested in. The more you look like what we've already done, the easier it is to engage with us. Check out our partner, Rockies Venture Club. See what's happening nationally with the Angel Capital Association. One of the largest entities is Tech Coast Angels on the West Coast. They're a great organization. I have a high respect for them. And then there's some folks in the middle of the country where you may be a special case and you might qualify. Swan Impact is doing triple bottom line or impact investing. Social Venture Circle is community minded. And then Investors of Color for underrepresented entrepreneurs. What's coming up with the Angels? We've got a number of events. You can check us out at nmangels.com/events. The Ugly Sweater edition of the startup office hours I mentioned. The Mexico Angel Club is the thing that I'm hawking today. Check that out. And then we've got, if you're an expert, we've got an investor roundtable in partnership with Sandia in January. That's instead of a pitch competition or a Shark Tank, that's the inverse. That's where a group of experts will workshop or problem solve with an entrepreneur. And so Sandia has selected some entrepreneurs for us to work with in January. What else is coming up? Every month we have a screening committee in the office hours. And then there's investor presentations coming up, and we have those regularly. And in January, we'll be doing more of those at our quarterly event. If you're a reader, here's some good books we like. Peter Adams is the head of RVC. He's got a great book, Venture Capital for Dummies. It's still timely. The Halo Report is an ACA publication. It's got a lot of data for those of you who, like me, who maybe number geeks. And then there's some other, Brad Feld is up in Boulder. His book is a good read. And then let's do this together. So any questions as we finish up the hour?